Dream scenario is slept on. Haha, get it? Like the fucking video. The reviews for this movie are all over the place. Some people really liked it, some hated it, some thought it was good until the third act. And to be honest with you guys, I fall into that first camp. I really like this movie. I think it's a breath of fresh air, and I am really surprised that the Google audience ratings for this movie are lower than Beau is Afraid, at least as of right now. This is one of those times where the audience rating is completely off the mark. Giving this movie a 1 star is completely unwarranted, and it's being too harsh on the movie. So what is good about the film? The movie is funny. Obviously, our senses of humor are not going to be the same, but I found the movie extremely funny, and my theater was laughing constantly throughout the film. I really appreciated the humor because I expected a serious film, but instead, what I got felt like a surreal episode of The Office with Toby Flenderson finally being recognized for once. If any other studio than A24 had made this film, then I feel like it would have been a serious drama. But A24's take on this movie and embracing the humor worked incredibly well for me. If I'm being honest, this movie was funnier than a lot of the comedies we've had this year, and this movie isn't even fully dedicated to that genre. Speaking of A24, this studio is on a roll, and I'm happy they give the spotlight to so many underutilized actors. We saw it with Brendan Fraser in The Whale, and while Nicolas Cage isn't as much of a curveball in casting as Brendan Fraser was in The Whale, I still appreciate they gave this role in Dream Scenario to Nicolas Cage. He isn't going to win an Oscar, but my god, he is perfect for the role. I am not going to give any spoilers in this video, but Nicolas Cage is meant to be this forgettable nobody who is also deeply insecure. From his appearance to his demeanor, he pulls that off to perfection. His character has an ego, and he's constantly fishing for compliments. And Nick Cage pulls off this sly facade flawlessly. Going back to my Office analogy, it really does feel like you have Toby from the later seasons living out this fantasy where everyone is enamored with him. I know this comparison is probably getting annoying, so I'll stop, but the movie is so damn funny. Paul Matthews is this unremarkable, average man who goes through the ringer, and we see his character go from comedic to serious situations numerous times throughout the film. No spoilers, but you have these sequences where Paul is in someone's dream and something crazy is happening and he's just a bystander who literally stands there and does nothing. These scenes were incredibly funny, and the scenarios Paul is put into are comical in general. There is also a lot of that awkward humor that you would find in stuff like The Office or The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Paired with this humor, you also have some really good editing that fits with the fever dream feel of the movie. There are some incredibly subtle moments in the editing that will probably go unnoticed, and one of these happens early on in the film when Paul is talking to a friend of his and he's basically being disingenuous. Paul is saying things that he deep down knows to be a lie, but he's trying to save face and act righteous. And in the midst of the conversation, you get a cut to a portrait painting on the wall that basically acts as the audience's reaction to Paul's words. It's a subtle moment that will probably go under the radar, but I appreciated this unique style of editing. You also have this moment toward the end, again, no spoilers, where there is essentially a daydream before you get snapped back to reality. This was a beautiful sequence, and it is, in my opinion, the most emotional part of the film. There really are no downsides to this film. The movie takes a turn toward the end that I could see as controversial, and it goes from a movie that could be set in reality to a sci-fi setting. But the plot still works for me, even if it doesn't stay hyper-realistic. I'm accepting of the more avant-garde choices, and I do think they have a place in the movie. I will talk more about this in my analysis video over Dream Scenario that I plan on making soon. The movie is also quite short, maybe a little too short. I think the final act could have been fleshed out a little bit more, like literally 5 or 10 more minutes, but nonetheless, this movie doesn't overstay its welcome. It's short and sweet, and now is as good of a time as any to plug my video over modern movies getting too long. I put a lot of effort into this video, and I think it may be the funniest one on my channel, so please check it out. The last thing I will say about Dream Scenario is this. We want movies to be more creative. This is the most common complaint against Hollywood today. It's no secret that movies are getting formulaic, and we are seeing less unique ideas. Developing a creative movie is a risk, since the ideas are usually new and producers don't know if they'll pan out successfully. So let's not rip apart the films that are creative just because they aren't technical marvels or because their script is a little wonky in some areas. If you want Hollywood to be more creative, then accept the fact that not every movie is going to be perfect, since they are all going out on a limb and trying something new. Instead, appreciate the studios and the filmmakers who are brave about the movies they put out, even if they miss sometimes. With all that being said, I really enjoyed Dream Scenario. If you know my viewpoint towards movies, then you know that I really like unique movies that take risks and show us things that we haven't seen before. I am more lenient with these movies, and I don't hold them to the same technical standard as a biopic or a realistic crime drama, for example. With all of that said, is Dream Scenario the best movie of the year? Probably not, but the movie is so damn fun. Even if it's not technically flawless, Dream Scenario for me takes the cake for the most fun movie of the year. Disclaimer though, Godzilla might take that spot. I'm watching it very soon. Definitely check out Dream Scenario while you can. The movie is hilarious. Nick Cage is perfect for the role. The directing and editing are unique and beautiful in their own ways, and the movie is just a fun time overall. I will be making an analysis of this movie very soon, so stay tuned for that. I love you, viewer, for making it this far into my video, and please consider checking out some of my other stuff. Respect.